Hammer Smash Face, the song that got me into death metal. I was in high school when I found Cannibal Corpse, and well, I was hooked as soon as I heard the of Hammer Smash Face. I was new to death metal. I didn't know what it was. Um, I'd heard of a band called Death and their song Scream Bloody Gore and Zombie Ritual, but I didn't really think much of it as I didn't really like the vocals, and I kind of put them on a back burner and kind of forgot about them. But one day while scrolling through YouTube, I found a channel called Loudwire and their video Top 10 Most Brutal Songs of All Time. Hammer Smash Face being the last one that they played. Of course, I was curious, so I went to Spotify and looked it up. Immediately, I was hooked. The fast, aggressive nature of the drums, the breakneck speed of the riffs, and the disturbingly low vocals. Later, I would ask my dad to order me a copy of Tomb of the Mutilated. Now, granted, my stepmom was not a fan of this, and she didn't like the art. I didn't care. I remember as soon as I got it in the mail, I put the sucker in, turned the volume up, and started headbanging. Then the song I Come Blood came on, and I remember thinking, man, I really like the riffs. So I went out and I explored more of this Cannibal Corpse band. Later would I find out that the vocalist on Tomb of the Mutilated and the early albums was actually out of the band on later albums, and it was someone else named George Corpse Grinder Fisher. So I would slowly start collecting all their CDs. Granted, I still don't have every single one, but I do remember for my birthday of 21, I got tickets to see Cannibal Corpse, Whitechapel, Revocation, and Shadow Intent. Awesome lineup. I also got a CD of their, at the time, latest album, Violence Unimagined. Now, of course, I was like, okay, it's gotta be heavy because the singles have been heavy. And oh boy, was it. When I heard the song Surround, Kill, Devour, I immediately started wanting to start a mosh pit in school. I had been in a mosh pit before by the time the show came around, and I knew what to expect mostly, as I had seen Ginger, Suicide Silence, and All Hail the Yeti. But when I saw this tour, oh boy, Shadow Intent were incredible. I missed most of their set in terms of seeing them. I could definitely hear them, but we were waiting in line, and I got my first ever Cannibal Corpse shirt that wasn't polyester or bought off Amazon. I still have it, but rarely do I wear it, as it is white. Very grotesque, don't you think? I remember wearing it to school the next day after buying like 3 shirts and thinking to myself, man, I love me some Cannibal Corpse. Of course, for that same birthday, I also got a cool little koozie of their album Butchered at Birth. I loved it. Fuck. Not birthday. Christmas. Excuse me. But in that same Christmas, I also got the face mask that a lot of you might remember me wearing in my old videos on this channel, where it says Cannibal Corpse. I also ended up getting a water bottle that says Cannibal Corpse. Pretty big fan, wouldn't you say? I remember every time I got the Metalhead box and I saw Cannibal Corpse merch was in it, I remember thinking, man, just more and more. One year, for Christmas, I ended up getting a book on them. Bible Butchery. The Cannibal Corpse, the official biography. I read through it and remember reading all these stories about how they grew up and all the songs that influenced them into wanting to play instruments, etc., etc. Then, in October of 23, there was a show announced near me that Cannibal Corpse and Mayhem were playing. I had to go just for the fact that I've not seen Mayhem, and I thought, why not see a band that originated black metal? At this point, I had seen plenty of bands, and I knew what to expect. What I wasn't expecting was the pit to get so overly rowdy that they were pushing us from where we were standing to the back, where I almost had my ass in a lady's face who was just trying to sit down for a bit. I asked for a way out, and I thankfully was right next to the stairs, so I could just easily get out. I went up to where my dad was sitting and enjoyed the show from there. Cannibal Corpse came on, and I was air guitaring and headbanging like crazy. When they announced I Come Blood, of course I had to try and headbang along with Corpse Grinder. I failed. This year rolls around, and Amon Amarth announced a tour near me with Cannibal Corpse. My third time seeing them. I already had this hoodie from seeing them last time, along with the shirt, and I also have a Cannibal Corpse wallet. What more do you need from me, right? I didn't expect buying anything, but I had just been in Ireland and I was having trouble with my card there, so I figured why not try getting an Amon Amarth and Cannibal Corpse shirt while everyone else is enjoying the show. I already had an Amon Amarth tour t-shirt and an Obituary Cause of Death shirt. So I went up and I pointed out this shirt for Pitchfork Impalement. It said 2X please, and got it. The guy ended up having to put in the information manually, and the guy running the Amon Amarth merch ended up having to basically help me figure out for like 15 minutes of what was going on. Finally, it went through. An extra $90 that was used in a way that, yeah, it could have been used for CDs, but I didn't really want to do that. My dad also got me for Christmas not only guitar picks from the second time we saw the corpse, Cannibals, but also a signed CD of their latest album. Now, I had already bought that same guitar pick set when I was over at the merch table, and I just decided to put the parts that weren't facing forward later on, if that makes any sense. See, these are all stories that happened because I got into the underground. If it wasn't for Cannibal Corpse or Creator, I wouldn't be listening to the bands that I do now. Yes, it may be cheesy to say that their music has helped me through some tough shit, but it is nothing short of the truth. The people on Twitter saying that they should be canceled for their violent lyrics, imagery, and blah 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 should really look into the term death metal, and especially in the name Cannibal Corpse. Cannibal Corpse. What do you think when you hear that? I think of I think of like zombies and maybe Resident Evil. Um, while you have awesome songs such as Scalding Hail, Rancid Amputation, Pitchfork Impalement, Hammer Smash Face, and many other gem songs that have been implanted in my brain since I've heard them playing in the background. When I first saw Cannibal Corpse, they played the song Killer Become, and I remember at the time I would watch a lot of Killbot and Gorgor Attack. I still do. I love you, Tony. I remember when he mentioned in a video that a girlfriend would have to be into Corpse Grinder, talking about firing up chainsaws on stage, and I wasn't really sure what he meant until I saw videos of it when they introduced that song. He said the line, "It's time to fire up the chainsaw." And oh boy, did we. With a circle pit, of course. See, Cannibal Corpse may be a violent band, but in the ultimate grand scheme of things, these are tame lyrics compared to some of the other stuff that has been said by, oh, I don't know, neo-Nazis, people on Twitter, and gore grind bands. See, I was listening to Butchered at Birth last night. I remember thinking, wow, these are some nasty, nasty lyrics. But then I took one look at Groom by Hemorrhage, my favorite Hemorrhage album, and also my favorite gore grind band. Or one of them. But these guys are definitely at the top. I remember thinking, you know what? Hemorrhage is probably going to win the gore factor. It is absolutely ridiculous that people are now trying to cancel Cannibal Corpse when they've been around since 1988. Granted, it may not be the best music for kids, but if you're letting your kids listen to this, you have no one to blame but yourself. I listened to a band called Suicidal Tendencies back when I was uber depressed and didn't even want to get out of bed most days. I would struggle in school with my mental health. I would struggle at home with my mental health. And music was the only escape for me, as I didn't really want to go to the hospital. Now, when I listen to Cannibal Corpse, I can put on a song or an album and get some sort of enjoyment, even if it's not my favorite, such as Gore Obsessed or Worm Infested. Not my favorite releases, but definitely enjoyable. When I first heard um when I first heard it was Murderous Rampage. Oh, there it is. Uh or Inhumane Harvest. When I first heard that, I remember thinking, man, what a song title. I wonder what the rest of the album is going to be like. When it came out, I had the album on repeat all day. And especially after seeing them perform the songs live, I also felt the need to listen to the album just because it was cool listening to the songs live. I also got to hear some of my new favorite songs performed live, such as Making Them Suffer, Kill or Become, The Time to Kill Is Now, and so forth. Depending on what person you ask, depends on what Cannibal Corpse albums are their favorite. I have two main ones, along with two mainstay favorite songs that are my favorite, depending on what my mood is. My favorite albums being Tomb of Mutilated and Evisceration Plague. My favorite songs being Necropedophile and Shatter Their Bones. Both are awesome albums and songs in their own right. They have catchy riffs, hooks, dare I even say at times melodies. But they still have a punch to them. Sure, I'll still listen to Make Them Suffer or Kill or Become or really anything off of this album because I find this album more and more enjoyable the more and more I listen to it. I'll also say that I think while yes, Evisceration Plague is one of my favorite albums, I think that The Wretched Spawn is the best Cannibal Corpse album of this millennium. A lot of people fail to understand that Cannibal Corpse isn't a band that you need to take seriously. And these people are the same people on Twitter who allow Taylor Swift to date a neo-Nazi with a giant swastika being worn and having no problem with it. These fake social justice warriors, which I hate any kind of social justice warrior for reasons we do not have time to get into, are the same people who will get offended for people who they don't even belong into. Because most of these people are white women with purple hair and glasses, maybe a piercing or two, and maybe tattoos. Definitely with glasses, though. Sometimes they'll just have poofy hair, and then they'll say something that sounds even more racist than an actual racist comment. How do I know this? Because I've dealt with Twitter people online before. And it is the reason I decided to get rid of that stupid app. And no, I will not call it X. That is retarded and dumb. See, the people who complain about Cannibal Corpse lyrics have obviously not realized that they don't actually condone the violence. They just sing about it because that's what they write about. Take a band like Dying Fetus. they're probably getting offended just by the name alone, or the fact that this has an American flag on it. Ooh, it's got an American flag. They must be right wing. Nothing about this art screams anything political. It just shows an American flag that's been kind of ruined. I mean, look at some of the song titles: Fornication, Terrorists, and Intentional Manslaughter. Both are great songs and probably equal to my favorite Dying Fetus songs, along with pretty much anything off of Descent into Depravity or even Reign Supreme. Yes, I have many favorite songs by Dying Fetus that are at my number one spot, as well as my number one favorite Dying Fetus album. Depends on the day. When people try and cancel a band like Cannibal Corpse, it never goes well. You watch videos of Corpse Grinder on YouTube and you think, man, I wouldn't ever expect him to be like that. He's always menacing and aggressive on stage when he does his vocals. But that's the thing. That's a whole performance versus what the person is actually like. And a lot of these people do not understand them. So, what is my take on this whole situation? I say, fuck the people on Twitter. If they want to cancel death metal, then they have a long way to go. Tibergore tried doing this, and look where that happened. Where that got her. Absolutely nowhere. Same thing with Twisted Sister. Dee Snider absolutely put everyone in their place in that courtroom. But in all fairness, I understand that the lyrics can be shocking. But if you don't like it, maybe don't pay attention. You'll just get yourself more butthurt.